In 2022, one footballer made the boldest move in modern football history. He didn't return to Europe's top five. He didn't chase Champions League glory again. Instead, he went to a league the world barely watched, barely understood, and hardly talked about. What happened next became the biggest PR explosion football has ever seen. This is the untold story of how Cristiano Ronaldo became the engine that rebranded the Saudi Pro League. Before 2022, the Saudi Pro League, also known as the Rashan Saudi League, was just another local competition. Low visibility, no big names, no global attention, matches played in front of half-empty stadiums. No one stayed up to watch the highlights. European fans didn't care. Even in the Middle East, most preferred watching the Premier League or La Liga. Saudi Arabia had ambitious ideas. They wanted the league to be a global force. They wanted more than trophies. They wanted respect. So they brought in a man named Gary Cook, a British sports executive, to become the CEO of the Saudi Professional League. At the same time, they hired a Nigerian football legend and former Chelsea technical director Michael Emenalo as the Saudi Pro League's first ever director of football. Their job was to overhaul the entire football infrastructure of the Saudi Pro League, from club licensing and commercial strategy to governance and stadium development, attract elite players, and build it among world's top 6 leagues. They weren't just hired to fix things. They were hired to rebuild the league into a global business. So they made a radical decision to go after the biggest name in modern football, not just a great player, but global brands, footballers whose presence alone could shift conversations, headlines, and cameras. And then on December 30th, 2022, they approached one Cristiano Ronaldo, a 5-time Ballon d'Or winner, Champions League legend, and arguably the most followed athlete on the planet. At the time, he was having trouble with his returning club, Manchester United. They wanted him. By all means, this wasn't just about football anymore. It was about perception, power, and positioning. And Saudi Arabia knew if they could land Ronaldo, the world would have no choice but to turn and look. Cristiano Ronaldo received the offer, and it wasn't just a football contract. It was an invitation to rewrite history. 200 million euros per year. But beyond the money, it was the mission that stood out. He wasn't just going to play football, he was going to lead a revolution. And in January 2023, Al Nassr, one of the biggest clubs in the Saudi Pro League, announced the signing of Cristiano Ronaldo. The world stopped. For the first time in modern football, a player of his magnitude chose a league no one paid attention to. And that was the beginning of success for the entire SPL. News stations across Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Americas all had one thing in common. They were talking about the Saudi Pro League. Ronaldo hadn't even kicked a ball yet, but the mission was already accomplished. Broadcast deals began rolling in. Global sports channels scrambled to buy rights to a league they once ignored. Al Nassr's Instagram followers exploded overnight, growing from 860,000 to over 15 million in just weeks. Ticket prices soared. Stadiums that once had empty seats now had sold-out crowds. European football fans began staying up to watch late-night Saudi Pro League games. Not for the clubs, but for Cristiano Ronaldo. Saudi Arabia had people watching. They weren't done. With the help of the influence of Cristiano Ronaldo, they started attracting more global footballers. Karim Benzema, fresh off winning the Ballon d'Or, signed for Al Ittihad. Then came N'Golo, then Neymar Jr., then Mahrez, Brozovic, Firmino. The list kept growing. These weren't washed-up players. They were Champions League winners, World Cup winners. Still in their prime, and they were all saying yes. What Ronaldo did was more than sign a contract. He validated the league, gave it weight. He made it okay to play in Saudi Arabia. And then he signed an extension till 2027, not winding down, doubling down. But this was no longer about one man. The league had evolved. TV rights deals expanded from 40 to over 140 countries. Sponsorship money flowed in. Stadiums were upgraded. Clubs became brands. And suddenly, the Saudi Pro League was no longer a punchline. It was a destination. Saudi Arabia didn't just buy a footballer, they bought attention. They bought credibility. They made a calculated PR move and backed it with serious infrastructure, serious vision, and serious money. Ronaldo was the door. The world walked through it. So what can we learn from all Saudi Pro League? Plenty. 1. Brand is leverage. One person can change the narrative around your entire organization. If their influence aligns with your vision. 2. Influence is bigger than advertising. Saudi Arabia didn't run ads to rebrand their league. They signed a walking, talking, goal-scoring global billboard. 3. You don't need everyone, you need the right one. Ronaldo was the spark. The rest followed. 4. Attention is capital. Once you have the world's eyes, the real work begins. Saudi used the moment to transform infrastructure, media rights, and fan experience. 5. Perception creates possibility. Before Ronaldo, it was a retirement league. After Ronaldo, it became a league worth watching, worth joining, worth talking about. 6. If you can't beat them, change the game. Instead of trying to compete with Europe on tradition, Saudi created a new narrative. Future-facing, global, bold. And finally, 7. Big moves are risky, but silence is invisible. Saudi Arabia didn't whisper their ambitions. It made the loudest move in football history, and it worked. Cristiano Ronaldo didn't just play football, he played a role, and in doing so, he redefined what it means to build a brand with boots, not billboards. Thank you for watching.